Hey everybody, I'm not sure if you can hear me out there. My name is Corrine Heck and I'm the founder and CEO of Details Flowers, and I have my esteemed co-host here today, Brandy,
Hi everyone.
who's our support director over here at Details. And we were really looking forward to having this tips and tricks / masterclass class to kind of review like our process as far as it goes when we're building out new features. And we're loving to hear some early feedback that we got on some of our new features that are just launching in our previewers, but we're also interested to hear like what might be on people's agenda as they're like moving throughout the year, if there's something that they haven't discussed with us. So this is really an open panel, and we wanted to set aside this time because we really love to hear from our customers and how they feel about the product or what they think what might be a nice and new feature to add. So there's tons of things I think that we all would love to see in the software, but it is like a huge process to not only add these products and new features, but also just to kind of make sure they're thoroughly tested. So for today, Brandy and I wanted to really dig in. I'll probably ask her like a bunch of questions, but feel free if you want to join in, or if you have a question, please interrupt us or put it in the chat. We've got Miranda also monitoring it. So we really just wanted to like give in. So I'm just going to kind of go over what our agenda is for like this meeting so that we have a plan for where we're going to go. Really, we want to dig into how we develop software and what our process is. We want to give you the tools so that you can check to see if a feature already exists, because more often than not, some of the things that people ask for are things that already exist and they just don't know where to find them. So we're going to give you tools on how to do that. How to submit a feature request, because we love to hear from florists directly. And if you aren't communicating with us what those features need to be, we are not mind readers. So we're not going to know what it is unless we hear from you. And honestly, we log pretty much everything that anybody ever tells us or they ask for. So we really want to make sure that we are connecting with you guys and listening, and we document most everything or everything. We really do a really great job of documenting, I think, Brandy.
Yes.
Yeah, so we also wanted to make sure that you know you're receiving product updates and make sure you're getting those emails from us, and wanted to make sure that you know where to get them or how often we send those out. And then some common requests that we hear all the time, which are features that actually already exist. So we're going to go over some of those. We're also going to talk about towards the end is like where our roadmap is and what we think we want to plan out for the future, and would love to get you guys' feedback on that if that's where you want to see the software go. So we have a short survey for anybody that joins. You'll be able to participate in that so that your requests are really being heard loud and clear, and that we have a good idea of what the consensus is, because that's really how we choose to develop.
Yeah.
And then we're going to open it up for discussions and requests. So if you have anything, please be scribbling it down or taking notes. And of course, we're going to add this all into a lovely recap blog. So Brandy, I know you guys have been working on, or we have a blog that really outlines like the process of how we go about development. Can you kind of give people an overview of like where we, like how we gather these ideas and then how it goes into publishing out for everybody? I know there's a few steps.
Yeah. I think it's actually a more in-depth process than most people realize. It always starts out with the idea, whether that be from us or whether that be from our users like you guys, and we take those ideas and we really kind of figure out how it's going to fit best into Details and how it's going to benefit all users. And then from that point, then it moves into development. Once we decide that that's something that we're going to implement, the development process could take a day, it could take months. So just depending on, what that item is. And then once we're done with development, then it goes out to one of our testing servers and our team goes in, we test that thoroughly. And then once we've decided that it's kind of past that area there, then it goes to our beta testers. So for anybody that doesn't know, we have a group of beta testers. They kind of are our first line of defense, if you will. People get to kind of see the new features first, but then they also get to test it and make sure that they don't find any other issues before it reaches that final process, which is to go out to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And the beta testers, the previewers, play such a huge role. And I often think people sometimes forget that they are in the beta testing group. So, you know, they might run into like a hiccup that maybe we didn't find in the testing and they'll let us know. But it's best to kind of know if you're in the previewer group, you may encounter something that we might have missed from time to time. But we're so happy to hear from you, previewers, and letting us know if you encounter anything odd before it goes out to the masses. Yeah, and that's the next step, is publishing. So once the beta testers pretty much give it their like seal of approval, for the most part, you know, I feel like we try to cover most all the requests when we're working on a specific area. So I think it's really cool. When I first got into this and started doing it, we did not work in this kind of same streamlined approach. It was just kind of more, we would make something and put it out. But as we've really grown over these last 8 years, we've really tried to be systematic in our process. And I think that that's what is going to help us get better and better, but also by communicating these with our florists, so they'll know how to interact with us or not be afraid to suggest a feature, because it might be the best thing that we've ever heard of that so many people would also love to have. So that's just what we ask of our users. Like, don't be afraid to ask. Brandy, how can they see if, you know, so every time a feature is requested, we log it, and we log it in our GitHub, and that really kind of lays out all the pages of the site. And if there are any requests for a particular page, we know exactly how many times it was requested and who put those requests in. So we're tracking that, which I think is pretty cool when we start like looking at what we see as the most requested features. And often if we'll get a feature request in, sometimes it will already exist. So those are always the feature requests that we love to get, because it doesn't like any extra work for us. We just get to share the magic of where it already is. And I know you spend a lot of time, so thank you. Kudos to you for like writing instructions on how people find things. But can you kind of show us, maybe do a little screen share of where they can find that within details? And if anybody has a question about like our development process, please feel free to put that in the chat.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we get requests probably several times a day. A lot of them are kind of the same requests, and then a lot of them are things that already exist in the software. So one of the things that I would recommend, if you have something that you want to see in the software, is to first go and check and see if it's already there. So to do that, I would go to the main menu underneath this support section here. And we've got a variety of different ways that you can go and find that information. The first of which is going to be our support center. So this is going to be our area full of different articles that we write. Each time that we do that development process and create a new feature, we also create corresponding articles and things that will go along with that. So you can come into our support center here, search for a specific thing that you're looking for. So maybe it's going to be something like stem counter. And then you can come in here and see, you know, what different articles do we have about stem counts. Same thing with, you know, if you have questions about the proposal or any like specific section, you can just type in proposal and it will bring you up a myriad of different articles that you can read about that area. Another area is under the main menu, under support, we have our tutorial videos. So these are going to be videos that we've created going through different sections of the site or different processes. that you can come in and look into. You can watch these videos. And these are great for the busy florist because you can come back and kind of start and stop these as you see fit.
Yeah, it's also really great for new employees, or if you have someone that you've added to your team. We do have all those videos for you to watch. And, you know, there's quite a few. They're not very long. I would say they're kind of like either 5 to 10 minutes. But there's also our Details University. So if you feel like you just don't learn great from either reading or even just watching a video, you want to ask questions as you go, you can always sign up for one of our university classes, which is a great way to really interact with people on our team.
Yeah.
And we have a variety of classes now. So we did start with just 2, but we found that we can do an employee onboarding class. I think there's a Zapier integrations class. You have a couple other classes, don't you?
Yeah. We've got a Stripe class if you're looking to learn more about connecting with our details invoicing to process payments through the site. We can do a class about that. And then, you know, we have the Details University 1 and 2, which are going to be kind of those intro classes into setting up your account and creating an event from start to finish.
Yeah. And if you think there's a video that you would like to see that maybe we don't have, please request it and we will make it and add it to our library. It's kind of hard to know when you're in the software of what, because none of us are looking at the software with fresh eyes. So we really value that different feedback about what you're seeing for like maybe the first time or as you're just getting started with details, because it's really hard to know what would be a great video unless we hear it. So if you do request a feature, often you'll get a message from Brandy thanking you when we release that feature and we finally implement it, which may have taken like she said, maybe a week, or it might have been like a 5-month process or so forth. So some things are really quite tricky, and we're so glad we have the heavy lifting of some really impressive software developers on our team. But it really isn't useful unless we get that feedback of how you're using that in implementing that in your business, and if it is helpful, so, or what it might be missing or lacking.
Yeah.
So we love that. We love feedback. And it's great for that communication. You know, we want to be your team and your ally, and we're building this for florists. We're not focused on any other industry. So it's really our focus and our direction is to get it right. But yeah, so thank you for any submissions. So we send out emails pretty regularly, I would say, about new features, and especially to our beta testers, they kind of get that introduction of what's about to happen. But we also do a newsletter every month. And so we feel like these are really great ways to see the new things that we've implemented. We really try not to overload our users or our members with too many unnecessary emails. But we want to let you know what's going on, or really give you some ideas about the new features coming along or ways to help you save time. So Brandy, would you mind sharing about your tips and tricks, regular weekly emails that you send out?
Yeah, so every week on Wednesday, they go out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. You'll get a curated email that will be about a specific feature or a specific section of the site. Those will go through kind of the step-by-step process of things that are available for that feature or that page, depending on what it is. And we like to, you know, make it fun. We add in different GIFs and photos and things to kind of get you more into that process. And then we also link those support center articles so that you can read more about that as well. But we do that every week, and those are a great way to learn about features that maybe you didn't know about, or learn a little bit more about some features that you do.
Yeah, and we kind of try to wrap that up with our like a monthly class that is kind of headlining if it's a new feature or something we just released, or maybe something that everybody seems to ask that same question that month, you know, on. So we love to hear from you, because that really steers the direction of the content that we're creating, because we really feel like it is about those relationships. So we do like to hear from people and what they're liking to see, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I can say that one of the things that I don't know, people think is when they reach out, they're like, hey, sorry to bother you. And I'm like, this is what we're here for. We want to help you. We want you to, know more about the site and get familiar with everything that we have to offer. So definitely we love to have you guys reach out.
Yeah, thank you. I know, and a few people did when we told them that we were having this, to say that they couldn't make the webinar, but they have some features that they'd like to see implemented. And I always think it's funny because there were so many of those emails that we got about features that already exist. So I would love if we kind of dug into some, like just letting people know some of the good features that are in the site that they just don't recognize that are there. And we're going to link that to a blog, but one is like the proposal suggestion. So maybe you want to make an idea of what you could do to a space for someone's wedding, but you don't necessarily want to pack it into the budget. It's called proposal suggestion. And it's a little hidden button on the worksheet, kind of when you're in a recipe, but not a lot of people, they don't know it's there. So if you didn't catch it in a tips and tricks and didn't see it when it came out, you might not even know that this exists. And I think it's such a great sales tool. It's just kind of give people an idea of what they can do and the price, but it says, hey, this isn't in your current budget, but let me know if you'd like to add it. So I think it's just a great way to pump up like an invoice, or to like make a little bit more of an impact with some upgrade that they could do at their wedding, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not giving your client those suggestions, they'll never choose the more expensive option because they don't know that it's there. So, I think it's a great upselling tool for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also the form builder, which is maybe we didn't name it right, but it's basically like a questionnaire form that you can build yourself, which we've already created some basic versions, but you can create as many questionnaires as you would like. And the beauty of it is that they all sync back into your details. So it does exist, and something that you can definitely add to your account. But a lot of people will ask for this and will be like, yes, we spent months and months developing it for you. So it is here now. And I think only about 10% of our customers are using that feature now. So it is something that I think isn't widely known, but we have an article in the channel if you'd like to like read more about it. And again, we'll get this on the wrap up. The cost page. It's a great page, but not a lot of people are using it the way that it's intended. And therefore, they're not getting the magic of some of what Details has within it. I guess is my biggest thing with the cost page. If you're not going back to put in where you bought things or how much you bought them for, that history is not living on that specific bloom. So go back after the fact or when you get those orders in, and set those prices so that you can keep a running line, because there's such great key performance metrics I think every florist needs to see about the flowers they're buying often. There's some other things on the cost page too that are often overlooked.
Yeah. I mean, definitely that you can order from some of our partners on that page. So those are great. You can click right into an item from that page. So kind of like Rue just pointed out, when you're seeing those fluctuations in prices right now, you can click into that item and change it right there on that same page. It's going to tell you, what you quoted versus what you actually spent when you go back and you put those prices in. So you can see, how much you were under or over by when quoting somebody. You can add notes there. You can export that list. So you can do substitutions. So, if there's a flower that like white roses, I want to say, were something that was hard to come by a little while ago. And so you can preemptively say, okay, but if you don't have this white rose, I'd be happy to take this other one. And you can do that even before you send it off to somebody. So
yeah, and it's true, costs are changing so much. There's another feature that we recently added, which is on the worksheet, that if it's a little dollar sign that comes up near the total, but if you click that, it will show you all the updated prices of those flowers now, or if you've changed anything. So really a useful, valuable feature that can help you make such important business decisions as far as your buying goes. So we'd love for people to dig into the cost page. I know you've done some things on the past as far as videos, tips and tricks. So we'll be sure to link that in this, but also go on the on our website. We do have all of your past tips and tricks classes that we've done. So they're all linked there for if you wanted to just join in and watch those at your leisure as you're designing corsages or something, you can watch those. Yeah. So one of the other things is the recipe PDF. And there's some things that people are overlooking on that as far as how, the power of that. I don't know if you have anything to add about that.
I mean, I've got some people that reach out and they don't know that it's there to start with. So they're always happy to find out that it is there and it exists, and it's magical. It's just as magical as they thought it would be. But then also when you have those substitutions that we add on the cost page, those show up on the recipe PDF. So when your designer is going in and they're saying, hey, this item never came in, they can say, okay, well, since it didn't come in, we're now looking for this substitution. And then also those notes. So notes in your recipe that you might want the designer to have what it's, wrapped in twine, shaped like, a circle, whatever that might be for you guys. And then you can add those notes in there. So that way, when designers are looking for that, they're going to be able to go ahead and see those notes as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Reports or something else. It looks like we got a comment about something Cassie. Hey, Cassie, I know you're going to be at SAF soon, so I'm looking forward to meeting you. She says, looking for the ability to have more than one inspiration picture on a line item. Yeah. And I would really want to know, Cassie, on that. Would you like to see that as like a click through, or just like two spots where you might have two images that appear? I guess it's just kind of knowing exactly the way you're going to want that to appear on the invoice. So that would be more information on that would be good to know. Looking to be able to add categories to separate recipes. Yay. So that's our recipe collection, which we were going to talk about later, but we do have that feature. That's the one that's in with previewers right now, but it's the ability to kind of categorize all of your recipes so that you can have all of your altarpieces all in one collection, and then you can open those up.
Yeah, and actually kind of piggybacking off of that. So we are going to have that new feature, which is going to be absolutely great. It's out on our preview server right now for beta testers. But right now, Cassie, you can also do custom categories on recipes. So you can make one that's, altar flowers, flower girl headpieces, and you can make them completely custom, whatever you'd like on those. So that way, when you're using that search area, the search by category on the recipes, you'll be able to create those custom categories there. Okay,
that's awesome. Oh yeah, the font size. She wants to be able to change the font size. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing. We're going to be going and doing, it's probably going to be in a few months, but we're going to have a whole proposal editor where you're going to be able to edit that document at full. And so you'll be able to more drag and drop widgets of different areas and spaces. So I will make sure that we put font size as something in those, because I think that would alleviate a lot of people's, just requests for wanting things different. The whole thing now is we're so restricted on what fits to a page. And so those margins get really tricky when you start playing with font sizes. So we've tried to make it where nearly any font will work. But of course, I do love my fonts and playing with all the way things look on the thing.
I know.
Together. I'm like the wedding planner. Gosh, I want it all. Yeah, I was going to mention that to Kristen too. If you install Grammarly, it works with details. So Grammarly, you can do the free or the premium versions, but it will point out the best way to like say things too. Like, so your sentence structure is always perfect. And people who are grammar Nazis out there, they they like to make sure you're getting it right. We love Grammarly.
Hey, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, combining orders and the items needed is another feature a lot of people don't know about. So on the worksheet, if you click on some of those upper tabs, the items used is such a great way to help you when you're finalizing orders, because it shows you how those flowers are working out in bunches and if you are over or under in your stem count. So it's a great editor right before you get those items moved over. And also the combining orders, you can do that now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the combining orders. If you have those, 3-4 weddings in a time span that you want to order all at once for, that items needed report is going to be your best friend.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. And then the gallery collection. We did have some requests from people who couldn't join today, and so I wanted to make sure to review that. One was that Maureen was asking for us to be able to print the items used panel, and it's not something that we have now. However, you can go to the cost page, but just being able to print that section isn't something we've added. It's more for button space on the page, because we're limited on those areas by certain spaces. So it really is a lot to kind of think about, where will you add a new feature? Where will these buttons go? Is it going to be useful to all people? And those are some other things. So we really try to weigh that out as far as that goes. I would suggest moving to the cost page though, because you can also export that cost page. That will give you a wider variety of information. Oh, and she was asking for an expand all button on the items used, which I think is kind of a really great idea, but then you also have to, I guess everybody wants it different. So someone might want to see that, and then someone might not want to see that. So we take all of these things into account. It's so funny. One day we'll get a call for saying, please remove this. I don't ever want to see it again. And then within the hour, someone will call about the same feature and how much they love it or something. So it's like,
yeah, really, I mean, it really is amazing. And, we do recognize that everybody's business is different and everybody does business different. But a lot of people will reach out with like a very niche request with the thought that everybody must be requesting the same thing, but really everybody is requesting the opposite thing, so it's really fascinating to see what things work for some people, but would never work for others.
Yeah. So. And we're building it in such a way, I think, the software to really be flexible so that people can make it exactly how they want. But it is a challenging work that we do to like get it right for the masses first before we start digging into maybe making the extra arms or the branches, for what will you say, but yeah, so it's very tricky business, but we were really enjoying the process. And please don't stop sending us those niche requests either, because it might be something really easy to do tied in with another feature. Who knows? Yeah. Kristen, who couldn't be here with us today, had a few requests, and she wanted a replace all option where she could swap one item for another in the worksheet.
Yeah, and it would basically update that in every recipe moving down, which, I think would be a great request. Yeah, and then also, but when we get things like this, we have to think about the impact on other features there on that page. Like for example, the item gallery, while it looks very self-explanatory, there's probably about 300 different scenarios for each button that lives on that page, so we have to also think about that as well. But I think that would be a really useful feature for a lot of people.
Yeah, I just envision a scenario where someone is using the save, this auto save, and then they update that, and then they're like, oops. So then we would need like a backup button or an undo button, because I can see where that would happen. And not that it's not recoverable, it's just these are the things that we have to really think through as far as adding a feature. So things are not always as easy as they might appear. It might be very, very complicated, and it really takes a lot of kind of digging in to make sure that we're not going to screw up everybody's life, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
But we love the idea, Kristen, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great request. She would also like the ability to add documents to the proposal PDF. And we have this in our roadmap, I'm excited to say. One thing on this, Kristen, is though, how much documents are you going to want to store? So that is kind of the big question for us. Is it you want to add 1 page? Do you want to add 20 pages? Are there different contract agreements that you would want to attach? So I think that's all going to come to like a storage issue, because for details, we're not a Google Drive or so you know, what have you. We probably could, but that wasn't really the way that we our focus of our business has been. So I think we're going to eventually add an element that you can store additional documents to a contract, but I really think it's going to be on an as usage basis. You know, some people might not need a lot of storage or want that. For others, they might just want to add a page to every contract, which wouldn't accumulate that much storage, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I mean, these external documents, depending on where they come from and things like that, they may be like humongous, even though they look just like a 1-page document. Really, it could be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pixels that you don't think about the fact that you're going to have to save all those megabytes, you know?
yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that's something that we're definitely strategizing about and approaching of how are we going to implement this, because we have been really good about giving our legacy users that those rates and never changing prices on people. So I feel like it, depending on the usage, it would really be something that we really need to be conscious of and make sure our users understand, you know, how much storage they're using. So that might be nice to see on everybody's account so that it's very clear and transparent. Rue put through a question is she would really like to see a hard goods category that doesn't calculate like your regular percentage, but separate from rentals. Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. I think it will take some digging in on the worksheet area of how we do those things and also how we do our items. But I think that's a request we've seen quite often. I don't think that our suggestion is always the best, you know, just change the margin on the entire recipe but I do see how it probably would be nice to have a column that shows on the recipe that shows where you can change the different percentage per item, even within that recipe. And it's more real estate space than anything else, you know, I think, just because I feel like the worksheet is so set up as how much space is on that page to not create a lot of confusion for people. So maybe it's like a super admin feature of sorts, or an upper level where maybe the only owner can turn it on and see that. But thank you for that suggestion, or I think it's probably where we need to go. Whether that's more important than some other features, that's where we get in this like weighing everything out. Becky, I don't know if you can jump on that. I got to put my glasses.
With the proposal page or in the details page, can we change the ceremony reception to just event or whatever we wish to describe it as in birthday, first look, etc.? Yeah, we did kind of talk a little bit about that earlier, Becky, and kind of our plans for the proposal area there and being able to have more of a document editor type area. And once that happens, then there will be areas for you to adjust those field titles.
Yeah, and that's really probably going to be after we finish out some of the recipe stuff and the inspiration gallery tagging, yay. Then that's probably what we're going to work on next, with a few other smaller things mixed in. But yeah, I think that's going to be addressed pretty in the near future. But yeah, we love that, and I can't wait to get that part done.
Yeah, definitely. Cassie said, I wish when I add a new item that it did not default to the blooms category. I have to go back and then change it to vase and rentals, and I always end up in a loop with it not saving properly.
Yeah,
I kind of have additional questions though, Cassie, on that, because if it didn't default to blooms and greenery, what would you prefer it default to? and where are you adding the items? If you're adding them into the item gallery, are you clicking through all the tabs before you save to make sure that it's set properly? Or are you adding them like on the worksheet in that add ingredient modal? So those are follow-up questions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everyone's different. I can see where they wouldn't want to have it defaulted to the blooms category, but which one would you want it default to? And is that something that we have to write so each person sets it as they're getting started with details to make that choice? Or is it just something they do later on? So these are all like implementation kind of things, but yeah, we want it to be as least annoying as possible, right? Like that's our goal anyway, is like, we don't want you to have to click 100 places. If you are, then you might be maybe doing something wrong, but then maybe it's something that just needs to be adjusted. So does it have to be a default? When adding, could it be a field that we select? I think that does exist. Yeah,
it is, Cassie. It is a field that you can select. I can share my screen though if we have time.
Yeah, well, maybe we can jump off that on another call, and then or you can send her a Loom, and then if there's more questions, because we love to make videos so that you can watch it over and over. Yeah, she wants to catch it here now. Awesome. And so we do have a survey that we're going to send to anybody that's attended, and we might put this out for everyone, but we really are interested, since you guys are spending your time with us, to hear what features you might like to see next. And it's just a quick survey. We'd like you to select 3. Some things we've heard of are like multiple delivery locations, customizing those event details, so those names there. So thank you, Becky. We got you. Inspiration gallery organization, inventory alerts, the ability to initial contract terms, which I know we were going to talk about that, or maybe that was something, but ability to crop or enlarge photos, proposal read receipts, a vendor catalog, which I feel like we kind of have that right now. Oh, but maybe
we do. Yeah, so anybody who is interested in vendor catalogs, ours just isn't named vendor catalog. When you go add in your vendors though, it does bring up an auto populate section there. So like if you've entered in Joe's dress boutique on one event, then you go into the next event and start typing in Joe, that option will come up for you to just select it and it will populate there. So
yeah, but more of a catalog, so you know who you might want to refer or something of that nature. Okay. Ability to adjust the markup per item type. And that looks like that was a question here. Auto populate proposal photos, so that maybe the ones favorited will just pop in there automatically. So description on the recipe PDF. Multiple recipe images within the recipe
so far.
Add documents on a proposal, and range of dates for events. Oh, for multi-day events.
Yeah, so, I think that would be great, especially for people who are doing more multicultural events, if you will, that go on for several days. So
yeah, so it's, as you can see, we kind of have some really great items here that I think would make a lot of people happy if we implemented some of these. And a lot of them, you know, are a little more complicated than others, but for us, it's we make these decisions based on what is like the squeaky wheel, like what is everybody asking for the most. So we would love your opinion on maybe typing out your favorite 3 for us to do next, because we do have to have a roadmap, and we want to make sure that the features we're putting out are thoughtful, that they're well constructed, that we're not going to have to go back 100 times and revise them. You know, maybe they're not the prettiest, but if they're functioning and they're accomplishing these jobs, then we can go back and really make them really more aesthetically pleasing, if you will. But we would love to hear from you guys. It's really important that we make the best decisions as we move forward, but are also thinking about everything and what you guys are wanting most. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm playing around on my details. Cassie says, while you were talking, I can see where I can change it when adding. I never noticed it before. Maybe I shouldn't work on proposals so late at night. I
Hey,
know. I want to give you hours back, Cassie. That's our goal.
yeah.
But I know it is annoying when you don't see something the first time, and then once it's pointed out, it's like, wow, how clear was this? But it's like a lot of things here, and so I feel like we spend a lot of our time supporting clients to help them with things that we've already thought about. But maybe we've put it in the wrong place, that it's not very like as intuitive as you think it might be. So that's so much that we think about when we're adding things too, is like, where is this going to make the most sense? And how can we best share it or teach people about it? Yeah, Heather Town has a comment looking for the ability to put multi-locations on that we can then control what gets sent to each location, i.e. bride's house address. Yeah, I think that's brilliant too. And another thing about that, and I'm curious what you guys think, is a time element, or how much time it takes to make a recipe. I think that would be really good from a time management perspective, to say, hey, I anticipate it's going to take 45 minutes per centerpiece to make these, so that you know how to organize your day. And that's not really a feature that Details has ever considered, but we've seen that request come up over and over again. So I do think it's valuable, especially as your operations start growing. We want to grow with you. We don't want you to outgrow us because, we don't have those features. So I love that. Anything else? Are there any other questions? Yes, the ability to assign a driver. I think that's really good. Add that, Brandy. We got to add it, and then put Heather's name on it. So when we add that, she'll be like, thank you, Heather.
Yeah, I know. I love when we start crossing things off of the list of requests that we have, because then like it just brightens up my day that when something is finished that 10 people have asked for, I get to go to all 10 of those people and make their day. That's probably like my favorite thing. So yeah, definitely. I'll put it in there and I'll put your name on it. Same with everybody else's requests that have come in today. And then, you guys will all get a lovely curated email from me when it becomes available. So
awesome. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else, Brandy. I think this was all the agenda that we wanted to hit on here today. Thank you guys for coming and joining us. And hopefully you guys are booking all kinds of weddings, enjoying your Details. We are looking to get all these requests like made and created and just working brilliantly to help boost your business. And that's always our goal. So if we can be of any other assistance, please feel to reach out to us Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern time. And I guess have a great day. Thank you guys for tuning in.
yeah, thanks everybody.